Hello everyone. Sorry about that delay. Today I've got Aaron. How do you say your last name?
It's Aaron Gombar.
Gombar. Here with me. We're going to talk about
Gombar.
Gombar, and we're going to talk about comics and kind of how you got into crypto art, just generally your artistic journey. So we'll start it off where we normally start it off with how did you get into art? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Um, I'd say I was always into it from a kid, but cartoons and taking it seriously started when I was 12 years old. I had my first comic published at 12 years old in a school paper and then a local paper. And by the time I was 14, I started submitting comics all over, and Parade magazine used to come in. Every newspaper in the United States would have a parade in there on Sunday. And I had a comic strip in there every week from 14 to 18 years old, and had like 4.4 million people reading my comics when I was a kid. So I had a love for newspaper cartoons from a young kid. Gary Larson, The Far Side, Calvin and Hobbes, and I just always wanted to be a newspaper cartoonist. I decided, it's actually kind of a funny story. I told one of my friends, we were in fourth grade, and I'll never forget, it was fourth grade, and I said, I want to become either a gang member or a syndicated newspaper cartoonist. And this is in Colorado. This is in the 90s. I was probably listening to a lot of rap music. It's like NWA and Public Enemy. And so the gang member thing didn't happen, luckily, but the newspaper cartoonist thing did. And I kept drawing cartoons, and I've had a goal of becoming a syndicated newspaper cartoonist. And that's something that I'm still presently working on. I've just morphed over the years, and I've gone through so many different phases of art where it's like I said, grade school cartooning. That's all it was. I started judging national cartooning contests. I was on Nickelodeon, on Nick News when I was a little kid, when I was like 14.
Wow.
Um, Hewlett Packard gave me the one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life when I was 17 years old. They were trying to compete with the iPad, the iPod. When the iPod first came out, Hewlett Packard was trying to compete with them, so they wanted to come up with their own, and they had focus groups in different cities, but they weren't allowed to go in there with cameras. So they needed a sketch artist to sketch all the people, kind of like a courtroom sketch, to sketch the people and then to sketch the products. And so they flew me to San Francisco, Atlanta. I was only 17 years old. Mind you, I was also getting into graffiti at this time. So I kind of had there was some lady, she was like in her 30s at the time. I have no idea, but she was like the guardian because I wasn't 18. So my parents had to sign off like, it's okay, your kid can go work for Hewlett Packard, fly across the country and do these. It was the best job ever. The pay was great at the time. It was still one of the best paying jobs I've ever had, and it just opened me up to like a whole different reality. Like I realized, wow, you can make a living doing this, and I kind of just always pushed from there. Like I said, I was into graffiti, so I was also totally stupid and sneaking out. I'd be in the hotel room at the Embassy Suites in downtown Atlanta, and they put me up in a place called the Triton Hotel in San Francisco in Jerry Garcia's room, and then in the Spice Girls room.
Oh wow.
And this was one of the fanciest hotels I've ever seen. They had an unlimited spending budget when it came to food, so they'd give me like $100 bill, be like, "Go get breakfast," or do just ridiculous stuff like this. And it only lasted for a couple of weeks. The job was short, but it blew my mind, and it also made me fall in love with San Francisco. So I was sneaking out at night doing graffiti, sneaking back in, waking up early, working all day, doing the sketches, and then repeating the same thing. Finally, I in high school, that's when this kid from New York, Ellie Cordova, If I ever if I ever bump into that guy again, Ellie Cordova introduced me to hip hop music and graffiti. I was into punk rock music and skateboarding. I was also a kid in the 90s. I rollerbladed. That was like, so I was having little companies making products for rollerblades and actually numerous graphics for skate companies, and have friends who work in the skateboard industry. Have a couple of friends who are pro skateboarders. And so that always helped out. I had some major injuries when I was 18, broke 18 vertebrae in my spine,
Oh, wow.
falling 2 stories out of a
So
tree.
wait, just
Yeah.
going back a little bit. When did your career start in art? You started quite early, so you were how old when you kind of and did you lead to?
Colorado for a couple summits to the San Francisco art of the artist Barry McGee. You
Yeah.
know who Barry McGee is?
No, no,
Twist.
no, no. Go on.
If you don't know who Barry McGee is,
Yeah.
you need to open a site modern masters, apparently. Um, but I had the same professor as him, and so my professor. No, no problem.
Connection problem. Everything was chopping along quite well, and now it's kind
That's
of
all right.
all over the place. Sorry about this. Sorry about this for people watching that it's a little bit choppy. I'm not quite sure what's going on. So yeah, sorry. Go back a little bit. You're still talking about Barry McGee.
So my professor Carlos Villa told me that I reminded him of Barry McGee, and when he told me that, that was it was like one of the greatest things I've ever heard at the moment. I was like, yes. And mind you, I'm what, like 18, 19 years old in San Francisco. I was going nuts. And I was raised like, so I was the kind of kid that was good. I didn't party. I studied. I did my work. I grew up in Colorado. I had people all the time like, hey, dude, let's just go get high. Let's smoke, dude. That wasn't my thing. I was like, no, I'm not into it. Well, 18 years old, like I said, that injury happened. That injury ended up with, that's where like a lot of my story comes out there,
So,
because the injury,
how did you get the injury? Sorry.
I fell 2 stories out of a tree off of a zip cord.
Oh, wow.
My my brothers and I made a homemade zip cord in our backyard, and we were like, we were way up in the tree, probably 40 feet, and it was literally a industrial belt hook. Took an industrial belt hook, put it on a rope, slid it underneath us, put the other side on it, and then just went flying. Woo! Well, anyways, I dropped in on it. Thanksgiving Day, the rope snapped, and I fell over 20 some feet, landed straight on my back, broke my arm, broke my wrist, broke 8 vertebrae in my spine, and caused a chronic pain problem that sucks, but I still deal with today. But because of that, the idiot doctors I had back in the 90s put me on Oxycontin. And that was one of the most destructive things that's ever happened in my life. And I am very outspoken against it today. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually involved in uh, I'll tell you later on, but like the graphic novel I'm writing is about the past 20 years of my life. Like, how old are you?
26.
26. So when I was your age, I was going nuts.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll get to that, but I was in college in the San Francisco Art Institute, and I loved it. I focused my ass off. I worked hard. They they started me on these pills, so the pills started messing me up. Even though I was doing my best to focus, go to school, do this and that.
How old were you
I
when you
paint
started on the? How old were you when you started on the pills?
18.
Um,
I was 18, and I'm 38. It's insane. I don't even like saying it out loud, but so 20 years ago that started, and that was the most destructive force in the world. It just sent me on a downward spiral. It really messed up my cartooning. And you can see in my art, if you look back over the years, you can see a shift in the art. And I got more into painting at that time, more into gallery type work. And I ended up getting a roommate. I won't mention her name, but I had a roommate who now is a photographer for Rolling Stone. and her and I had a little thing, and ended up it ended up bad. Let's just say when you're in college, they tell you don't date your roommates. Don't try that. I learned firsthand, don't do that. So both of us ended up getting kicked out of the San Francisco Art Institute, out of the student housing. And that's a story that I will illustrate in my book. I'm not going to go through that on this interview, but it will definitely be in my book. And so she was from a real wealthy family. She just moved into another apartment. I, from a working class family, middle class, I couldn't afford to stay in San Francisco. Even in back in the early 2000s, I still remember the rent was over $2,000 for a studio. It was like 2,400 for a studio back in 2000, 2001. So it was just too much. I couldn't handle it and I had to drop out. And I remember being devastated. I was mostly worried about letting like my family down. Like I dropped out of one of the best art schools in the world.
Yeah.
And I was the best art school is in London, where you're from apparently.
Yeah.
It is the Royal Academy of Arts. I've never been there, but I always wanted to go there.
I'm,
And so,
I don't
anyways,
think it's all that important. A lot of the time, it's better to get out there and get the experience. I mean, did you find that? Do you regret not finishing art school, or do you wish you kind of had?
you know, yeah, I definitely regret not finishing art school. But the bigger thing I regret was turning down a job back then. I was offered a job for Think Skateboards as full time running their arts department. And in order to take that job, I would have had to quit school at the time. This was before that incident. And I turned it down because I wanted to focus on my schoolwork the whole time. And by the time that I ended up having to leave, that job was filled. And excuse me, that job would have changed my life. But yeah, I definitely wish I could go back and finish art school. It's something that it was a total waste of money. Don't get me wrong. If any young kid comes up to me today and says, "Should I go to art school?" I tell them no, definitely not. Go learn something with computers, with artificial intelligence, or focus on something like that. Art school, waste of money. You can learn it on YouTube,
Yeah.
and uh, you can learn anything online these days. But yeah, it's something that I definitely wish I could go back and do over for sure.
Oh no. So tell me more about the dealing with the pills and things like that. How did that kind of? You said that you were around 18 when it started. How long did it take you to kind of get off it, and what was the journey with that?
Okay, that that started when I was 18. It I left art school and I went straight to Denver. I went back to Denver, and within a year of being back, two of my best friends and I got our first art show. Really big art show. I wish I had the card on me somewhere. It's in one of my sketchbooks, but we had a big art show where it was fully sponsored by drink companies. There was people handing out sushi and champagne, and we sold every piece of art in the show. Everything. The opening night we sold out, and it was amazing. Took that money, went back to San Francisco, blew that money in less than a month, and less than a month I was uh, down. Let's just say down and out within a month, and that led me through like a 20-year up up and down roller coaster with just a battle with it. It was the addiction was uh, probably the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. Today, I can say I'm in recovery and I'm clean today, and I'm proud of that. It's something that I put first and foremost in my life. I'm actually missing a meeting right now to do this, but that's fine. I'll
Oh
do
no,
another
thank
one
you.
tomorrow.
No, no, well, thank you so much. I hope it
This
wasn't
is
too poison. No, 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 this is really good.
this
Thank you
is
so much for
I'm
doing it.
I'm excited. I'm excited to do this. I um when someone reached out to me originally about the blockchain art exchange,
Oh yeah,
I
so yeah,
was
tell me a little bit
blown.
about how you came to crypto art in general.
This is how I came to it. Someone reached out to me. I can't even remember the person's name, through Instagram,
Yeah.
and asked me if I'd be wanting to show some of my art on the blockchain art exchange. The funny thing is this is literally 1 month maybe after I had first really gotten into crypto. I was offered bitcoins. I was offered. I don't even like thinking about it. I was offered a lot of bitcoins years ago, and I turned it down
Oh God.
because I didn't know what they were,
Yeah.
and it would have been a house today. Even though if you're watching the market today, it's going.
Yeah. Kind
Today
of.
is kind of today was kind of stressful for me. I woke up and saw my wallet way low, and I'm just like, oh dear God. But yeah, I just discovered crypto a little over a month ago, and it's definitely to the point where it's driving my girlfriend nuts. Um,
That's usually how it
it's,
starts,
it's
right? Yeah.
yeah, and so I just discovered like NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, and when I really, it was your blockchain art exchange that like really opened my eyes to the whole scene and made me realize this is the future of where art's going. This
Yeah.
is it. It's the same way I look at when I talk to people about currency. I tell them, hey, the dollars you're spending, yeah, dollars are great, euros are great. I wish I had more of them, obviously, like anyone does. But if I had a choice, I'd rather have Bitcoin. I'd rather have Ethereum, and because I think that is where everything's headed. It will all be crypto one day.
Yeah.
And the same thing with my artwork, even though I'm a newspaper cartoonist, the newspaper comic section has been shrinking drastically over the years. And it's a space that, even though it's the newspaper art space is shrinking drastically, it's digitally opening up whole new, entire new genres.
Yeah.
Um, I think, I'm not sure if you guys had, did you do the interview with Dim Izam, or Dim, the guy from Bultardia? Was that you who in, which is like a crypto blog magazine? And his comic has 10 million Satoshis hidden inside the comic. He has clues to get the keys hidden in it. And it's a genius idea. My girlfriend and I have been trying to figure it out. I'm pretty positive that I have 6 keys out of the 12 so far. But back
Yeah.
to what we're saying, like as I'm talking to you, I'm sitting here and there's alerts for like Ethereum and basic action token and all these things like flying down on my
You
screen.
you
I'm
gotta
just
stop looking at it and just kind of take it as it comes. That's what I've learned
yeah,
after the years, because otherwise it'll
yeah.
drive you mental. It moves so quickly. It's insane, and then you panic, and then the worst thing you can do is try and catch a falling safe. So going back to the cartoons, you can't see it, but I've got a few on the screen now. What tell me about like what your
Um, there's newspapers from Colorado, San Francisco, Orlando. I've had my stuff published. Oh, gee, I've internationally published in papers, magazines. Like I said, I did some stuff for Vice a long time ago, and there was a website from San Francisco called Fecal Face. And if you go online, I think the old site is still up where you can still flip through all the art. And I was so bummed when that guy shut the site down. It was one of the best art sites that there ever was. But just really throughout the same time, this was the same time that I was using my cartoons to get your. I work for VOLCOM, Volcomics. They put out. The funny thing about VOLCOM is I didn't even try. I had a friend my friend Shauna, she took my comic and entered it into this VOLCOM cartoon contest that I didn't even want to enter because I didn't like. I'm my harshest critic. Most of my work, when I see it, I'm just like, I could do better. Push it aside and try to start something new. I could do better. And she took one of my pieces and entered it. I ended up winning, and because of it, I got placed in their first issue of Vol Comics, and then was able to work with them.
Yeah.
Um, it's it's really taken to where I focus on now is I submit comics to the New Yorker on a semi regular basis. I still have never been published by the New Yorker. I know it's going to happen one day. I know it. Uh, 5 years ago, I met with Robert Mankoff, who was the old, which is hands down my favorite city on earth is New York, and that's a lot of my focus. Like my comics, I have a comic strip called Norman,
Yeah.
and my comic strip Norman is the one I'm working on getting syndicated, and it's kind of based loosely on my life. Like the characters are based on people I knew, and so on. I just take daily happenings and turn them into comics and turn them into jokes, and I don't know. I have a weird sense of humor, and I enjoy drawing things that I know will make people laugh, or sometimes I'll even get semi-political with it. The only time that I really did was after the Charlie Hebdo attacks,
Yeah.
where they killed the cartoonists. I was so pissed off that I did a comic. I did a big an anti-ISIS comic, and I tried to enter it into no newspaper would touch it. I sent it to Charlie Hebdo. They wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
It's on the blockchain art exchange. People can go look at it right now.
Yeah.
Um, and I had family members tell me, "Don't put it out there. Don't put it out there." And I say, you know what? No, I am so anti-censorship. I think that anyone should be able to have a voice, no matter how stupid their voice might be. You know, I might not agree with it, but I still think they should be able to put it out there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I view my comics. Like finally I had a gallery show that cartoon, and they had to have all kinds of like security specifics. Like they sent me warnings and stuff, but I don't know. I'm just, cartooning is, you know, my, it's one of my main drives in life. You
Yeah.
know, I have orders of importance in my life. I have, first and foremost, I put my belief in God in front of my life, because God's the reason I'm here talking to you. I've had numerous flatline overdoses because of the pill thing, which
Yeah.
eventually led to heroin and was a full-blown heroin addiction for 10 years. It's just the progression. I
And
mean, if you meet,
what got you out of that place? The pills and heroin addiction. What kind of, if anyone, anyone's having a similar experience, how would you say that they could bring themselves out of it?
okay, simple. It's I hate saying that it's simple, but I really I had, I sent you a comic, and I don't think that I have put it up on the blockchain art exchange yet, because it's actually a few pages from my graphic novel that I'm working on now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I,
if you feel like putting it on the
yeah,
screen,
I've
go
been
for
putting
it.
a few on
But
the screen. I'll find it. Which one is it? One of the first few that you sent?
it's no, it was one of the more recent ones I sent you, and it looked like unfinished because it was being worked on. It's up there's right there. It's pages like that where I had a bunch of near fatal overdoses in Philadelphia, and I was going through a real hard time. I lost a brother to an overdose years ago. I ended up, because of it, so many negative things happened to me. I lost apartments, jobs, girlfriends, relationships, family. They, distanced themselves from me. I was locked up for a while, and um, you know, I the only thing that really got me out of it was on the last overdose I had was when I was coming from Philadelphia. I was going to a rehab in New Jersey. I'd planned on going to the rehab because things had gotten so out of control, and I actually overdosed in the van on the way to rehab. Um, and when I came to, I came to in the middle of some hospital in New Jersey, and I had no idea what was going on. They were talking. They were saying he's from Philadelphia, da da da, and I was thinking in my head, Philadelphia, what? What are you talking about? Like, I don't know anything about Philadelphia. When I finally came out of it, I I literally prayed. I was like, God, you got to help me. Um, I don't know how to pray to you, God, but I was like, Jesus, please help. And next thing I knew, I was in a rehab. They offered me a scholarship there to continue, so I stayed there, which it was extremely rare. They never gave out scholarships. They were gonna like kick me out into the snow, like homeless in a blizzard, in a snowstorm, and literally I got on my knees and prayed. And when I got on my knees and prayed, I don't know what happened, but Jesus was looking out for me, dude.
Really?
Because I went to the rehab. They put me on medication assisted therapy, which if you're, I don't know how it is in Tokyo or London, but it's, they do things like Suboxone or methadone. And it really, it really took uh, seeing the pain that I caused to family members and friends and loved ones. When I saw that and saw how like God had given me not just a second chance, not a third chance at life. Like I'm more than when you hear a cat has 9 lives, I way beyond a cat.
Yeah.
um, they've brought me back to life in numerous states, which is something I'm not proud of. But it's something that like I'm really trying to tell in my story. Like my book is as cheesy as it sounds, it's gonna be, you know, like a triumph of the human spirit type book. Like, God really pulled me out of this and just gave me a second chance at life. I have an amazing girlfriend. I have a family that fully supports me. Um, I I work a recovery program. I have a sponsor that I don't call nearly enough. Sorry, Charles, if you're listening or you ever watch this, I will give you a call and we'll get some coffee. But it just takes a want. You have to want to get clean. You can't. It's sad to say, but until a person wants it, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You can't drag them into rehab. You can't trick them or beg them or plead with them. Like there's nothing you can do until you hit your rock bottom and you just decide like, hey, uh, you ever seen the movie Train Spotting?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the end where he's like, choose life, choose a career. Da, 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 da. That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Is except mine involved, my mom and girlfriend and everyone around me praying for me a whole lot. But it it changed it changed everything. It changed my art. It changed my interests. Um, I would have never taken the time to sit down and be interested in crypto or anything like that. But I've had the time to get a new iPad with Procreate and the little pencil that I can draw on my iPad, and I love it. And digital art is something that I've really been working on and trying to like hone my abilities because it's not my main medium.
Yeah.
I prefer pen and ink on Bristol board, and I have sketchbooks all over.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
So
I, I
That's a really inspiring story, and thank you so much for being willing to share that. It really means a lot. And I
no
wanted,
problem.
I mean, and kind of leading from there, I wanted to ask this. So the comic that you're working for on, it's about your life. Is it purely focused? What period is it mostly focused on, or is it the whole thing?
It's going to be the whole thing. It's I've already almost finished the script. And once you put together first few pages, the script and the outline, you look for an agent. It's the next step. So I'm really planning on doing that this by Christmas time. I want to have found an agent for my book. But my book is going to be called Iatrogenic. I think I sent you a
Yeah,
drawing of
I'll
a
put the
you
yeah
got
yeah.
a
I've got that up on screen now.
you've got a sneak preview of some of the stuff from my book. But yeah, right there, iatrogenic. It's doctor caused addiction. That's what the
Hmm.
term iatrogenic means. And basically, I'm going to focus on the 20 years of entirely crazy shit that happened in my life. But I want to do a split where most of the book is going to be black and white. The negative is going to be black and white, drab, dreary, but then there will be bursts of color when something good, a period of good happened in my life, or something, or there was a period where I was clean and things were good. Because during that 20 years, it wasn't all bad. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it was all, it was, there was amazing times in that, those 20 years. Um, I ended up, uh, I had numerous injuries because I skateboard and I broke ankles. I got hit by a car on a scooter, broke my ankle, had to get surgery, broke my knee skateboarding, and multiple wrists, ribs, sternum, just you name it, I've broken it pretty much. And on one of my last injuries I had, I was laid up listening to a podcast of I Am Rapaport, Michael Rapaport's podcast, and just laughing my ass off because it was I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't listened to it in probably a year, ever since I stopped. I used to be the official cartoonist for the I Am Rapaport podcast. I don't do it anymore. I still talk to Michael Rapaport. He's still a good dude. I'll message him here and there, but it kind of, he kind of took a more political spin with it, the way that he's gone with it, and that just wasn't my interest. So I had to focus on other things. But while I was working with him, the way it happened was hilarious. I messaged him through Instagram. I messaged their main page through Instagram, and I said, "Hey, I'm a huge fan. Is there any way you could send me out a T-shirt?" Because they were giving out T-shirts to like their best fans, their biggest fans, and I was like, "I just got hit by a car," and I'm trying to think. It wasn't the skateboarding. It was the hit by the car one. I was like, I just got hit by a car, broke my ankle. I'm laid up and I'm listening to your podcast. Can I get a shirt, dude? All I'm doing is drawing comics and listening to your podcast. I get a message 15 minutes later and it's like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. I'm going to leave his name out. This is the editor for or not the editor, it's turned the producer for I Am Rapaport. And he's like, we love your comics. He's like, Rapaport and I are sitting here laughing at him. Would you be interested in doing comics for the podcast? I'm like, I said, are you kidding me? Of course. I jumped at it. And the first comic I did was the one that says Wigga Please. It's
Yeah.
just like his little character saying Wigga Please. And it was, I think the first comic I did was making fun of Drake and Justin Bieber. I was poking fun at quite a few people, like the Kardashians. Made a lot of jokes about the Kardashians. A lot, uh, it was all pop culture, all very. There was a lot of stuff to work with.
Yeah.
Just making
Just kind of lampooning
caricatures
the
and
modern
making,
culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was a blast. A lot of cartoonists started stepping in and started trying to do their own versions of Michael Rapaport. And the funny thing is one of my last comics I did was like a joke. It was a joking battle cartoon where I drew each different cartoonist their style of Michael Rapaport, and then my guy of Rapaport saying, "I'm the official cartoonist." Da 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 da. They all liked it. They got a kick out of it. I still talk to some of those guys on Instagram, but it was a good time. Like, I drew a lot of cartoons and a lot of stupid, silly Instagram messages about nothing. I remember one time I was standing in line at a barbecue place in Orlando, and my phone goes, me, it buzzes. I look at it, and it's a text from Michael Rapaport saying, "There's a phantom duker on the loose in Los Angeles." And I'm like, what? What? And he's like, "There's a guy that's pooping in people's lawns and running off, and they can't find this guy." He's like, "You got to draw a cartoon about it." And I showed it to my friend who was next to me, and he started cracking up. He's like, "No way!" So that's the kind of stuff that I was doing at the time. I was just making stupid jokes, stupid comics about things, and I guess my real life caught up, and I had to focus on paying the rent, paying the bills. And during this time, it wasn't all freelance art. I've done, to pay the bills, I've had a lot of things to like make ends meet, from painting murals. I've done, when you go by businesses and see the windows, I've done a lot of window paintings, sign paintings. I tattooed for a few years
Oh, nice.
until, yeah, I tattooed for a few years until I was, this is another story for the book. That will be in the book. But long story short, I overdosed. My apartment was broken into, and thousands of dollars of equipment, all my equipment and art supplies, were stolen by juggalos.
No, the clown guys.
Yeah, dude. I'm not talking the actual dudes. I'm talking their followers.
Yeah, yeah.
These like, you know, Central Floridian hillbillies who broke in and took all my stuff. And it was miserable, man. I quit tattooing because of it. But
Why did they steal your
I
stuff? Was it just at random, or did they target you
no, they
specifically?
knew me.
They knew you.
They
Okay, were you
yeah,
hanging
they
out with
target
with the
yeah.
juggalos?
Dude, I wasn't hanging out with juggalos. No, this was darker times, and they were most likely some kind of drug connection at the time.
Okay.
Not most, they were 100% a drug connection of some sort of the type. But they robbed all my stuff, and so I quit tattooing. But that ended up with me getting a computer at the time and focusing more on my comics. And it's always come back to my comics. I worked for 10 years as a sushi chef. That's where I learned a little bit. I studied Japanese in high school and college a little bit.
Well, you probably speak
And
better Japanese than I do. I've only been here since January.
no, I no, I can only introduce myself. It's Hajime Mashite. Aranamba desu. Dozu yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yeah, I mean that's
That's it.
pretty much as far as I've got. I've got to the point now where someone can ask me if I'm a student or if they're a teacher, and then I'm kind of lost after that point. Uh,
I'm extremely jealous of you being in Tokyo. I would someday I'll come visit.
yeah,
That's
definitely, definitely.
I
Always welcome.
because my girlfriend and I, we have a list of places we want to go. Japan is top on there, but I want to go to Norway and Nepal. There's a few places I want to see before Japan, even though I love Japan. There's a few guys I'm talking to who are actually in Japan, who are toy manufacturers, who I'm trying to get to manufacture some of my characters
Oh, okay.
into toys.
This actually leads us quite nicely into the next question. So the skateboards and kind of stickers that you do, what's the good is Goodlums? How
Good.
did that how did that come about?
Sorry, you're asking me all the funniest questions. Yeah, the I was just really high.
Oh,
I was on a lot of pills. I was on a lot of pills and I was drawing the dumbest things. And I looked at him and I'm like, dude, what am I drawing? This looks like, and people were telling me, dude, your stuff looks like Hello Kitty on drugs. And so I just kind of stuck with it for a while. And for years, I painted canvases of those guys. There are so many canvases, paintings, little toys that are just out there that people own that I don't track and follow. But um, yeah, the Goodlums are over for me. I don't do that anymore unless people specifically commission and want me to do that.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah, I'll do it. And I've had people semi recently ask me to draw them, some of those characters. I had a website back then. It was www.10milligrams.com, and it was a cool website. This was back when Flash was big. And so I had like an animated website where the character would pop up and you click on his arm and he had broken arms and pills would start raining out of the sky and clouds were going over and there was creepy music from Christoph to Babylon playing in the background and click on it and Atari Teenage Riot would start blaring. But that, I guess that whole era for me is done.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's the skateboarding, not at all. I love skateboarding and I'll skateboard until I'm dead. That's the goal, at least, is to skate as long as I can. I trying to think. The last skateboard I designed some stuff for. I was trying to design some stuff for Creature skateboards. Didn't work out. Tried to do some stuff for Strangelove skateboards. They loved it, but they didn't print the board, and I don't know if it was too. It was right when COVID-19 happened, and my board. I'll show it to you within the next couple of days. I'll send it to you, or I'll post it on. Maybe I'll post it on Blockchain Art Exchange. I'll have to figure out how to get it on there because it's a scene of people looting a store, and they're just going nuts, looting the store and burning it down. Because this whole, like, with the world the way it is, COVID-19, people looting and going crazy, in my mind, I'm like, yes. I mean, not yes to all this craziness because it sucks and people are dying and it's terrible, but yes, that it's giving me ideas to draw.
Oh,
And yes,
for
it's
the
giving me
inspiration side of things as an
the
artist. Yeah,
yeah. So it's an exciting time to be alive, man.
No,
Like,
it's definitely one of the most interesting times in history. I don't think people quite realised how interesting now is. There's never been a time like now before. I mean, I guess that's kind of true of always. But you were going to show some of your drawings, your hand drawings. Have you got a book or a sketchbook there? I don't know if we'll be able to see them.
oh no, all my stuff is online with you. The
Yeah,
stuff I have here, these sketchbooks are more, just notes.
yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if there's anything worthy in here. Oh god, yeah, there's a couple in here, but it's mostly like when I'm drawing roughs, like the rough version for my cartoons. I keep all the roughs in here. There's a cool Indian in here somewhere. This is just a random dude going into a thing.
Oh wow, they're
But
really good. They're very clean. The drawings. How do you kind of what's your technique for getting them so clean, or is that just kind of practice makes perfect?
I I guess that's kind of difficult. Yeah, I just practice. I draw a lot. This one I'm about to post on Blockchain Art Exchange.
Yeah.
It's got a guy being a bird, and the caption says it's like, what is this, gluten? And this is just like one of my comics, but yeah, it's practice. A lot of practice. My girlfriend yelled at me. I got scolded today and yesterday about not drawing enough because I've been so obsessed with crypto. Like all I've been doing is watching my favorite crypto YouTubers and doing trades, and I'm more of a Bitcoin guy. As much as I love Ethereum and I love altcoins, I have like this belief that Bitcoin is the coin.
Well, I think
Like
there's a
that's
there's a lot of reasons I think the advantage of Ethereum is the smart contracts that you can run on it. The actual currency itself isn't really the actual coin itself isn't really the most important thing. I think as a currency, and because no one owns it, and the decentralized nature of it, and there's no, the leader's unknown. I think Bitcoin has a lot more power to be censorship resistant than Ethereum does. Um,
I'm like I said, this is so new to me that I downloaded Python recently,
mm.
and I'm trying to teach myself Python from scratch. Like I have no idea how to code,
That's really
but
funny because
I'm
when I started, I did the same thing. I did a Code Academy, which doesn't really teach you what you need to know. It's better to do one of the online courses. But I did the exact same process. I wanted to learn Python straight away.
Did you get it?
I can make a really good calculator. That's that's so not really. But I think if I practiced enough, I would have got it. It's just having the time, right? It's something. It's like learning a new language.
I got an Indian to show you that I like,
Oh
that
wow.
I'll put up. I'm gonna put this on the exchange when I scan it and get a good picture of this. This is the North Philadelphia Indian at Kensington and Allegheny Crossroads. If anyone's from North Philly, they'll catch that reference. But um, I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
how you came up with the blockchain art exchange, because it is one of the most creative ideas I've ever heard, and I love it.
Oh, thank you. So basically, the concept was pre 2017. In fact, since I got into Bitcoin in 2013, I was thinking about ways, because I've always worked in art, ways that you could authenticate artwork using the blockchain, so physical artwork, and whether you'd send like a transaction back and forth. And then I think in like 2016, I had a conversation with this developer. We were talking about ways that you could do it, and then we kind of landed on the idea that it didn't make sense, and you got bad input, you're going to get bad output. So tracking physical artwork, all it does is potentially make fakes real because they're then on chain. Um, and then CryptoKitties happened, and I kind of wish I'd just launched a BAE before and gone for the funding and everything. But um, then CryptoKitties happened, and I realized that the digital side of things, people would actually pay for it because that was the main thing. I was thinking, well, maybe you could do it with digital images, but would anyone actually want to buy it? And CryptoKitties showed that there is a group of people who are interested, and I already know that there are art collectors who are into digital art, but they like to buy it with hardware and stuff like that. But that gave me the I guess the
Mhm.
drive to see that there was at least a community to start the base with, and then we can expand into the art community as it makes sense. Um, but unfortunately, I think I waited a little bit too long because a lot of other projects launched at the same time, and we but right now, I mean, we're still one of the first four and the first main ones. So I mean, I think that it's going to be a long journey. I don't think anything's going to happen overnight, but I think the BAE is going to be something which will grow and become more interesting as it goes along. We're launching the 2.0 soon. But this is supposed to be your interview. I'm interviewing you.
Hey, hey, no, I'm excited to hear this too, because just as much as you want to hear about my cartooning, this to me is extremely interesting. It's a new, to me, it's a new art form. It's a new way of not only preserving my art, hopefully I'll sell some of it. I'll be excited. When it says mint, I saw it say minted on Ethereum,
Yeah.
and that made me so excited. I was like, what? Because I still can't comprehend all the software mechanics that goes into the background of the coding to actually make it work. But I am extremely interested in learning that, and I've been trying to teach myself that. The grading scale is something that I still haven't figured out. I haven't. Your video, the intro to BAE with the British woman talking,
Oh yeah.
you know, I I show that to everyone.
Well,
I
thank
t-
you.
j- just today I've shown it to a handful of people because it's the same. I showed it to my doctor yesterday, and if you're watching Dr. Correa, hey, he's a good dude. Um, and I told him about this as well. But so anyways, I'm so interested about it, and whenever I tell anyone and show them the concept behind it, show them your video, first thing they always say is they're like, wow, that's incredible. That's I'm trying to think. They basically just say it's incredible.
Yeah.
They're very impressed with it, and they
That
think
very
it's
that video is very much the vision. It's we're not completely there yet, but the idea is to slowly roll out all those features. Like that video it will one day be what the product is. It's still kind of aspirational. We're launching a 2.0 fairly soon, which is going to be a lot closer to the original vision. Because like any company, we've had ups and downs, and we've been on a 2 year journey, which has been quite tumultuous. But we're kind of leveling out now and starting to actually build back up, which is positive.
I'm going to bring more artists into your space because I have a lot of friends who are artists,
No, yeah, me too.
and I I love it. I'm behind it. I was offered to be minted on Makerspace, I think, something like that. There was a few other NFTs that reached out to me through Instagram, one through Facebook, and then just a couple random emails. I don't know if they found my website. I do have a website. It's the www.normancomics.com. Shameless self
No,
promotion,
no, no.
but
Plug as much as you want.
yeah, no, that's my website is it looks like a website that's made by a almost 40-year-old guy that knows nothing about computers but is trying to learn. It's pathetic, but I'm working on it.
No, no, not at
I'm
all.
working on it.
Hold on.
I literally I bought
I'll
I
get it
bought a
up now.
GoDaddy website and I'm trying to build it. Yeah, dude, it's pathetic. I'm not too proud of my website, but I am first and foremost a cartoonist and an illustrator, and that's my love and passion. Like, I love when people reach out to me randomly and say, "Hey, can you draw a wizard in the woods and have some black metal dudes behind it?" And the black metal guys, and there's like burning churches or something. I'll be like, "Yeah, you got it. Check. Done." Like, whatever anyone wants me to draw, I'm going to draw it for them. And then I try to fit that in with all the things I'm working on, my graphic novel, my comic strip, submitting comics to the New Yorker and Mad Magazine. And still, I'm trying to move more international and more digital. I've been focusing recently more on the digital. I want to submit some of my stuff to Citadel 21, and I'm going to keep it minted on. My goal is to take my entire portfolio and mint my entire portfolio through blockchain art exchange.
Oh wow, no
Boom, boom,
problem.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Roll out my whole portfolio through you guys. And I'm talking, I want to dig up, I've done old digital work that's old animated. Do you remember when cell phones had the live wallpapers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there was some guy who hired me to make live wallpapers. God, I wish I could track him down. He hired me, and then I worked for him for a couple of weeks. I think he paid me the first week, and he let me use a computer. I worked for him. I busted my ass making these live wallpapers, and he was real into that stupid Facebook movie, The Social Network. And he's like, "I'm gonna be this guy. I'm gonna make my own Bitcoin and da 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 da." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay, buddy, whatever." But I helped him, and he ended up robbing me for like $4,000
Wow.
and was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went to work one day, and the office was locked. There was no one there. And I'm like, "What the hell?" and it was the day before payday.
Yeah.
I'm just like, "You got to be kidding me!" And he disappeared. And it was one of those life lessons. Like, I just learned another really tough life lesson. Write down all your mnemonic, whatever it's called, mnemonic. How do you pronounce it?
Mnemonic.
Mnemonic
Yeah.
seed phrase. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
write
Yeah.
them all.
That's very
That
important. I mean,
one.
every first-time user tends to lose them. I just
Uh,
someone asked in the chat. I'm just going to answer the question quickly. Ron Y, congrats on your initiative. Can I ask if you back the wrong chain? I'm concerned for transaction costs. No, I don't think that Ethereum's the wrong chain. I think that the transaction costs will go down, and the reason why I think that is because in 2017, with Bitcoin, the transaction costs were close to $400, even when it was worth 10 grand. And then slowly over time, that narrowed out, and I believe the transaction cost on Bitcoin is back down to a few dollars. So I don't worry. I think that there's a massive swell in transactions right now, but I think if it gets really bad, then we'll think about developing on another network. But I think that it will level itself out. Either more miners will join the network before ETH 2.0, or ETH 2.0 will be will come out and kind of save it. Obviously, that's a while away, but I do think that there are, as long as Ethereum's built like Bitcoin, it tends to sort itself out. I'm really sorry to get off topic. I was just yeah.
no,
Uh,
that's actually I've been I have been very interested in all this as well. And one of the crypto guys that I follow was saying that one of the big reasons that the gas prices are so high with ETH right now is because so many people are pumping into DeFi with the yield farming, and they're just pushing all this money into it and trying all these little new coins here. They want to get this coin, that coin, trade this coin for that coin. And it's just that itself is pushing up the ETH prices. And apparently, Vitalik Buterin made a tweet just the other day saying something about um, basically a roundabout way saying that hackers could exploit it, and he knows
yeah.
that hackers could exploit something with the DeFi space,
Be very careful, anyone watching as well who's new
and
to
it's
this.
just
There's an advert going around on YouTube which is completely fake. I don't know why YouTube's still running it, but
mm-hmm.
it is a scam. So be careful of that. It says that if you, it's the oldest trick in the book. If you've send me ETH and then I'll double it. So watch out for that. That is a scam that's going around. But so Ron asked about Bitcoin Cash. It depends what you want to use it for. If you want to if you're just looking to invest in something, I don't know much about Bitcoin Cash as like, this is none of this financial advice, but if you're just looking to invest in something and use it as a currency, yes, potentially Bitcoin Cash could be better because the transaction fees are lower, but I don't believe you can run smart contracts on it, and for our purpose, you have to be able to run smart contracts. So that's chains like EOS, Ether, Neo, which I don't think is even really a thing anymore, and a few others. I think XRP allows you to run smart contracts, but yeah, so it really depends what you want to use it for. I personally think that if you're going to do one for cash and actually has a future of cash, it's probably something like Litecoin, because they actually have done quite a lot of groundwork in being accepted in multiple places. And yeah, sorry to get off topic again.
I have a question. I was wondering, are you ever planning on, when I saw on the blockchain or exchange the video with the woman talking, it was talking about the artist's pieces will be minted and graded, and then people can invest in the artist. And it made me, I've always thought it's a super amazing idea. It reminds me of Andy Warhol and Basquiat.
That's
Like
exactly where I got the
Basquiat, if you know
idea
the
from.
story of Andy Warhol and Basquiat, my man,
But
my
yeah, no,
man.
tell
Yeah,
people
for
about the
people,
story. Yeah,
yeah, for anyone who's watching and doesn't know the story, like Basquiat was an artist from New York. If you don't know who Basquiat is, Google that right now. Basquiat was one of the coolest artists that ever lived, and he walked into a restaurant that Andy Warhol was eating at one day, and Andy Warhol was huge in the New York uh, the scene at the time, which was musicians, artists, bohemian type, a lot of junkies, and it was just this fashion people. It was a huge scene, and Basquiat walked in, had these little cards with his drawings on them, and said, "Hey, you should buy my art. It's going to be worth something someday." And Andy Warhol was like, pulled out money, paid for it right there, and said, "Hey, come with me. I want to invest in you. I see talent. I see potential." And it turned him into one of the biggest artists in history. I mean, he started out writing Samo everywhere on brick walls with spray paint, and he became Basquiat. And when I heard of the way your company was mentioning it, that's exactly what I thought about. That was the first thing I thought about.
Well,
And I was actually showing this to a few people, and the first question they said was, "How do I invest in you? How do I invest in your art?" And I said, "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out."
so that's one of the first features that we want to roll out in the 2.0. When it first launches, that won't be live, but the basic idea is you can buy a stake in a artist's NFT collection, and then every time that NFT collection sells, you will receive a little bit of money, but you're basically investing directly into the artist. Kind of the way the DeFi works, in the sense that you're providing liquidity to an artist's own career, and then you're rewarded automatically every time something sells in proportion to the amount that sells. Um, and that
So cool.
I think that would be quite interesting in a sense of making it possible not only for artists to get funded, but then people to be rewarded, and it all to be kind of in like a decentralized finance way. The problems that we've run into is obviously is that security, all of this sort of stuff. So we just have to work through those issues. Whether we just create an offshore company to do it, that could be a way around it. I think that's what a lot of DeFi companies do. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, that's the challenge. But that is one of the first features we want to roll out, definitely.
It's genius. I was from wanting one of the t-shirts that you have, to just being excited that I'm involved in this in some way. This is,
No, I'm
I
honoured to have artists
I'm
of your caliber involved. It really is fantastic that people are starting to become attracted to the space.
I appreciate that, but I'm humbled by that very much. I can't take any credit for my talent whatsoever. I'm just a normal dude. God hooked me up with some drawing abilities. I practiced, and my parents and my girlfriend, my brother and sister, they always pushed me on and supported me no matter what. And it's just something that it's a dream that I will never give up on. Like, I've been that starving artist, eating ramen and living off of nothing but what are those things called? Combos,
I don't know what
pizza
that.
combos,
Oh,
and Arizona iced teas for for like a year. I'm excited for my book to come out, just for people to read it, but I'm also, just to tell people to like kind of hype it up, what I'm going to be doing. My book is also going to come with like a digital soundtrack, where I want to have it so when you start reading the book, you can scan a QR code, and the QR code will start playing music for each scene of the book. So it's kind of like um, a more immersive experience for when you're reading it. And that the guy hiding the Bitcoin keys, Dim Zayam, that artist who I've just recently started talking to, that that guy is amazing, and he's a French artist. Look him up if you get a chance. I'm considering doing something, not not hiding 10 million satoshis, that's for sure. Not doing that yet, but uh, I do want to have some ideas that are definitely crypto related, definitely blockchain related, and me trying my hardest to learn coding. I have a lot of reasons behind that. It's not just that I want to brute force a wallet to get all my coins that are stuck in there, which is definitely a big part. But I'm fully into this. I have spent nights watching your other interviews with the other artists you've had on
Oh,
there,
thank you so
and
much. I'm glad people are enjoying it.
oh, dude, I love it. You've had some really cool artists on here. You had some girl, I can't remember her name. She had all these paintings in the
Yeah.
background while she was being interviewed.
Is
She
it
sounded British or
Graceland?
French,
Uh,
possibly.
yeah, she's really good. She's really interesting artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her art was fresh. I liked it a lot. Um, I have to look her stuff up on Instagram or something, see if it's check it out and check it out on. Obviously, she's on Blockchain Art Exchange,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, and I want to look that up. The guy you just had on recently,
Oh, Vesa,
who had the
yeah.
awesome stuff, and then you had another guy who did the like Kanye West currency and all that.
Yeah, Tom. I mean, it's
Dude,
this
that
is
made
one of the
me.
most amazing things about this space is the diversity and kind of range of artists and stuff that I've been working on for 10 years and I've never thought that all this kind of correlation of amazing art could be in one place and getting back to your stuff. So I've got on screen now. I've got this, and I know you didn't really want to talk about it, but I've got this Lawless poster from Vice magazine. What is the story behind that?
Lawless
Yeah.
was actually It was a movie with, I believe, Shia LaBeouf and Tom Hardy and who else was in it? My girlfriend said Jessica Justine. I don't know, Justine. There was a bunch of people in it, and Vice was looking for people to come up with some kind of poster promoting it, and so I did this drunken bottle brawling through the city because it took place during Prohibition. It was all about Prohibition, so I kind of had this Prohibition style drawing, and I still like looking at it. I
I think
like the
it's
drawing a lot,
great.
especially the bottle. I'm gonna do something for a minute here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live while I'm showing you because it's in the background. I'm gonna walk back here.
Oh, right, there we are.
The bottle, the bottle right up here.
Yeah.
That that was an actual bottle I had of Jean Paul Gaultier. I had some Jean Paul Gaultier champagne that I had a friend who worked in a wine store in Winter Park, Florida, and he got me a bottle of this Jean Paul Gaultier that came in a corset. It was like a 24 $2,600 bottle of champagne, and I remember one New Year's, boop, we popped it and made mimosas with it. It was delicious. I don't drink champagne anymore.
Yeah.
I don't drink anything anymore. I drink a lot of coffee now. But the
Me too.
Lawless poster was, yeah, in case you didn't notice, I'm double fisting frappuccinos over here. Excuse me. But it looks like you're drinking some coffee as well, my
Yeah,
man.
there's lots of nice canned coffee in Japan, so I tend to drink a
Dude,
lot of it.
I'm messaging you after we get off this. I'm getting your info. I want to do some trades with you
Yeah,
because I have a serious interest in Japan and Japanese culture in general.
no,
The
definitely,
the
it's
picture
pretty
the picture
fantastic here.
it looks like one of the coolest cities ever, and it just has the the correlation between the art scene in Japan is huge. You're in a perfect spot.
Yeah,
You either pick New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, London, Japan, and then you have all the little Danish countries that really great designers come from.
yeah,
Um, but the picture that you have next to it, the Clayton and Sugadoose,
yeah.
I was I was telling someone recently that is one of my favorite drawings, and it always will be because that was during the San Francisco Art Institute period, and it was for a project called "What I Did This Weekend," and we were supposed to draw illustrations showing what we did this weekend, and everyone came in with like these real generic drawings, and their illustrations were like an acoustic guitar, and like this was before Netflix and before all that. So it was like I played my acoustic guitar and hung out with my dog. And I came in with these fake Polaroids of gangbangers, like at a huge party with like nothing but like these gangster dudes. And I was like, yeah, I was hanging out in Oakland, and they were like, what? And so I ended up selling every single one of those drawings except for the Clayton Sugar Juice, which I held on to. I still have the original to this day. I'm selling some on blockchain art exchange, but this is hands down. I got a kick out of that drawing, and I still love it. I think it's a cool drawing.
No, I think it's really cool. So actually, yeah, that brings me to another question: is how is it in the US with the lockdown, and how have you been dealing with that? How's that been?
Oh, it start okay. When it first started, I thought it was a joke. I remember people were talking about it, and I'm like, dude, I've lived in halfway houses in North Philadelphia. I'm not worried about COVID-19. I was like, and if you've ever been to North Philadelphia and you could picture a halfway house there, it's pretty much the gnarliest thing you could ever picture in your life, times a million. Take that times a million and make it even more gnarly. And it's like that. But COVID-19, my mom is a nurse, and she told me how serious it was. One day, she just came to me, and obviously I'm not going to give out family information online,
Yeah,
but
no, of course.
she's a school nurse. She's a school nurse, and she works on the front lines, and it's something that scares. Like, let me think of how to put this. It it definitely changed my outlook because rather than taking it lightly and seeing people that say it's a hoax make me sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
because I know people firsthand who have gotten sick. I know people who have had family members die from COVID-19. Thank God none of my friends or family personally have got it yet. Well, my cousin, I think my cousin got sick with it. But it's been scary here, dude. The lockdowns really changed everything. COVID, just like 9/11 changed the world,
Yeah.
I think COVID-19 changed the world in even
Yeah.
of more of a way. It's I never thought I would go everywhere and see people masked up. I just had mine around here somewhere, but I didn't think I would go everywhere and see people masked up everywhere you go. But now it's like
Normal.
everywhere you go, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just a common occurrence. Little things are annoying. Obviously, waiting in lines forever. The Apple store is closed, but these are completely, how would I say, trivial.
Yeah.
They're trivial things that as much as I need to get to the Apple store, and I, I'm like praying every day for Apple to open. I'm like, come on, God, open up Apple. Um, it's really disrupted everything. I worry every day about my mom, but it's in God's hands. I it's it's basically it's something that's out of my control, so I just do my best, pray, and tell people I know to take it serious because
But I mean, so
it's a
how have you personally dealt with the lockdown? Is what I mean. Like, have you found that you were able to create more, or has it been harder to create because of the stress? Like, how's it been?
I've created way more.
Hmm.
It's To be honest, I'm an artist. The lockdowns did not. You could lock down the U.S. for eternity, and I would be fine because I'm used to living a very isolated existence. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Castaway on the Moon. It's a South Korean film, but there's a girl in there who like never leaves her room. And I
Yeah.
was saying, I can do that. I'm an artist, and I'm used to living indoors, drawing, just doing nothing but creating. During this time is when I got into Bitcoin and crypto. I I did not have a big interest in crypto before all this happened, but as I saw how bad things were getting, I guess I took it more serious, and I said, not only do I think this is the future, and not only do I think it's a smart investment, I took my entire savings and put it into Bitcoin.
Oh
Like,
God.
and
Yeah.
and other and it's spread out through a few coins, but
Yeah.
mostly Bitcoin.
Be careful. Be
I love
careful. I
Ethereum.
wouldn't. I would never advocate for putting 100% in, but ride the wave,
Yeah,
man.
no, it's I I'll quote one of the famous artists, David Cho. I like to party, man.
Yeah.
Like I like to take risks, and this is I'm done with not taking risks. Like if I have a chance to do something and it's not going to injure me or someone I care about, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Like um COVID-19 definitely affected life in a major way. I miss going to restaurants. I don't know about you, but I've been to two restaurants since this entire thing's happened, and I was nervous both times. One was like a fancier place, so it was, we wore masks going in and everything. All the people who worked there had masks, and they had hand sanitizer on the tables, like when you walked in. But it just, I guess, to me, I looked at it like whoever's in charge, whoever's pulling the strings, just gave the entire world a pass to stay at home and get creative.
Yeah.
And a lot of people did. Like there's entire Netflix shows. Did you see the Netflix create that were people who made movies mostly using their iPhones during the lockdown?
Oh wow. No. No.
Like yeah, famous directors, big time directors and actors took this opportunity to get creative and make videos using drone footage. And like there's some drone footage of Los Angeles where no one's on the streets. It looks like a zombie film.
Yeah.
And I just, you know it's life, dude. I think my personal theories is that this is just like another notch in life as far as how things are going. What's going to happen? Is it going to change? Do I think it's going to change how I do my artwork or carry on life? Drastic? No. I think if anything, it will just force me to get more creative and find new ways to deal with it. Um, because of this, I was able to meet you and have this interview.
Yeah. Well, no. Thank you for
How
coming
is
on.
how is it in Japan? Like, what's it like over there?
It's okay here. I think everyone thought the government here was underreacting, but he but it everything seems okay. I think they have a culture of wearing masks, so that definitely helps because I think the masking thing only really works if everyone does it. It doesn't work,
Yeah,
because it doesn't protect you; it protects everyone else. It's kind of it has to be universal, I think, for it to almost have any effect. But yeah, it's been okay here. There was a lockdown, semi-lockdown, where restaurants weren't open till 8. But the odd thing about Japan is, and I was kind of shocked because in America, I always thought, that it was very hard for the government to force anyone to do anything. But it turns out in Japan, they have a kind of constitution as well, and it basically stops. Sorry, and it stops any kind of the government's basically not allowed to tell anyone to do anything. So everyone just kind of stayed away from restaurants and stayed inside voluntarily. And I think it's because they've
hmm
had outbreaks here before. So here it's kind of all been optional. Ron says the UK experience has also raised awareness of our independence and the frontline staff. There's been an accelerated boom in innovation, confidence in politics remains low. Yeah, I think that's very true. the Yeah, but it's generally been okay here. I've kind of been shocked at how well it's been. I don't want to. Yeah.
It kind of cut out there for a minute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's been okay here. There hasn't been a whole lot of there hasn't been a whole lot of problems. I mean, maybe I think next year there might be some other ways. Obviously, they had to cancel the Olympics, but the other thing about Japan is, oh, I seem to have. You've gone a bit. You've gone still. I don't know if you're there anymore. I'm talking. Well, I'm still talking to people on the stream. Um, yeah, I just finished my thought. Hopefully, Norman reconnects. But basically, in Japan, it's yeah, it's cancelled the Olympics, but everything seems to be getting a little bit better. I seem to have lost Norman. Hold on 1 second. If anyone has any questions for me while we wait for him to reconnect, please go ahead. So yeah, I guess I'll talk a little bit about how Japan's been with the virus while we wait. Here it's kind of been, yeah, there was a closed lockdown till 8 p.m. Everyone had to go inside, but then it kind of stopped. The borders closed down here completely. I think they're still closed. You can only return if, and I seem to be on the screen here. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm gonna just put this into this mode, and then I will be right back with Norman. Um, yeah, so the lockdown didn't really. They've closed down to all tourists. You're not able to come in or out. You can. Yeah,
Hey, you there?
yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
If How's it going? Yeah, sorry, it froze up on your end. I heard you talking about the UK,
Yeah.
and then it went boom.
Oh well, I was just kind of telling people. Oh, there we go. We're back. Telling people about Japan while I had the opportunity, but we'll get back into the art side of things. So Ron says, "Am I right in thinking that you're focused on digital art rather than painters? Although I make Gleesy prints of my work. Yeah, so we do physical artwork as well, and we're actually planning to do a couple of shows in Tokyo. I have 10 years experience working in curation, so that's what I want to
Awesome.
expand this to. I mean, like, it's just the amazing opportunity to meet all these fantastic artists. But getting back to you, Norman, is there kind of anything else that you want to add? Is there any other pieces that you want to talk about specifically?
Specifically, I just think if anyone, whoever's watching this, first off, uh, definitely take the time and Google Barry McGee and Boscott if you didn't do that. And I'm excited to learn more about your artwork, when this is done. And I'm just really excited for this opportunity to start something new with a company that I believe in. And right off the bat, the person who contacted me, I wish I could remember their name, but right off the bat, they were talking about you. And I was extremely interested with the concept and everything that goes into it. And so just with the work that I'm working on currently, you're one of the few people that I've shown it to, and Blockchain Art Exchange is the only place that I will be posting some of my work, preview work. It will not be on my website. I won't be selling it to other people. It's not going to be work that people are going to be able to find on my Instagram or Facebook or any of my social media, Twitter, whatever. It's going to be for BAE only.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, and I think that's what my goal is, to do an entire portfolio through BAE. I'm talking, I'm going to spend a lot of time uploading stuff from years back, and even a lot more current work. I'm currently excited with. Have you ever heard of a company called A New York Thing?
No, no. Tell me about it.
They let's see, right here. 1 second. I can still talk to you while I'm grabbing it. There's a brand, I'm sure you've heard of Supreme, correct?
Yeah.
Well, Supreme has they're like a sister spin-off brand, a company called A New York Thing. And they obviously are from New York. There's a guy behind the scenes that they call Aaron Dunn, and he reached out to me through Instagram telling me that he liked my illustrations and asked me to do let's just say I did a top secret illustration because for Supreme that no one's seen yet. He won't let me post it anywhere. I hope he doesn't get mad at me just for talking about it. But it's just a drawing I did for Supreme. I was pretty excited about when I had the opportunity. Someone said, "Hey, you want to do something for Supreme?" I jumped at it. And so now I'm doing graphics for the spring line of A New York Thing, which launches in Tokyo 2021.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. And I just finished a bunch of graphics for them. So it's not really something I can leak all of it, or I can't leak any of it.
Yeah.
But in an Instagram, I could kind of tell you about it.
And
But
where can people find you on social medias and things like that? What's your handles?
it's right there on the screen. I see it on. It says on my screen. It says Norman Comics. I don't know if it's
Oh
showing it
no,
on
no,
the
you can't
top.
see it on there. So it's just
I was like, on my little screen it says Norman Comics, but I was
oh,
gonna say, yeah,
yeah.
it's at Norman Comics. I had tried to make it as simple as possible because my name, a lot of people get confused. Aaron Gombar, Aaron Gombar, Aaron Gumball, Gumball, Gumby, Gumball. I've heard everything. It's a Rutho-Carpathian and Santiago Chilean mix.
Okay.
That's where the family background comes from. But yeah, they can find me at www.norman.com or on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Norman Comics, or they can just shoot me an email, Aaron at Norman Comics, AARON at Norman Comics. But yeah, dude, it's a pretty easy way to get in touch with me.
That's really.
And yeah, my little guy Bean saw me being interviewed, and he wanted to come up and say hi to everyone. I guess this is
um.
probably one of the cutest dogs you'll ever see. We rescued this dog,
Oh
dude.
really? That's so sweet.
This
What type of dog is
my
it?
It's a Chiweenie. My girlfriend my girlfriend found this guy in the freezing cold rain running around, and so she set out. The city gave her one of those like opossum traps. It's like
Mm.
a trap cage for a possum, and they said it was a cat trap, put cat food in it. So she did, and within a short, like an hour or two, went out there to check on it, and this little guy was in there, and he was terrified. It made me so mad because you can tell his previous owners must have beat him or something. Like, he was so scared. But within a very short period of time, he warmed up to us. We got him chipped. No one claimed him. We put signs and everything around for people if they lost a dog, but no one did. So we kept him, and now he's my little buddy, dude. This
Um.
is this is this is my little baby. He goes with us all over the place. But
Nice.
I'm
No, I like
glad that
little dogs.
he got a little cameo.
That's good. We can clip it and tag dogs, which is always good. Um, so before we finish, I've got on the screen, and it actually was the cover for this, the Killer Man poster. What is that about?
Oh, there's this director, Malik Bader. He did a few films. He did Cash Only. It was on Netflix for a while. You could probably find it on Amazon Prime or something. Cash Only. He also did Street Thief. Street Thief was first. Cash Only was second. Killer Man was his most recent film with. Oh God, I'm trying to think of the dude's name. I feel so bad. Nikolai Shrelly.
Mm.
There's an actor from Albania that lives in Detroit. He's from Albania, a Detroit native who's Albanian, and his name is Nikolai Shrelly. I somehow we met each other on Instagram, which it seems to be a common theme with me. And him and I talked, and I told him years, I've been talking to this guy for years. And I was like, you're in a Malik Bader film. I want to work with Malik Bader one day. I want to work with Malik Bader. And he was like, Malik Bader's busy, basically kind of just like shove off kid, like basically tell me, whatever. And years later, I finally talked to him, and he messaged me one day and said, hey, can you make it to New York this weekend? And I said, what's up? I was in Philadelphia at the time. And he goes, Malik Bader is there. I showed him some of your art. He wants to meet you. Done. So I made it there. I met him at this place called Public, really cool, amazing looking hotel slash bar in the Lower East Side, and I think it's in a village, but whatever. So I met him there and basically just showed him my artwork and talked with him. Turns out he's a Chicago native, and not only is he a filmmaker, but he was one of the most down-to-earth dudes I've ever met. Both of them were really cool guys. I felt, when I was talking to him, I felt instantly like I've known these guys for my whole life. I've just felt real comfortable around them. We started talking about graffiti. Turns out he owned a graffiti store years back, in a graffiti supply store in Chicago, way back, and before he became a producer. And he is an up-and-coming producer, which I still think he's one of the best producers there is. He's an indie filmmaker, and they work together on a lot of projects. But Killer Man was their most recent film with Liam Hemsworth.
Okay.
Liam Hemsworth was in it. Zlatko Burk was in it, who's a really cool actor. And the dude from the OA, I can't think of his name right now. One of the guys from the OA was in it. But so they asked me if I wanted to do something for Killer Man. I did this drawing, this poster concept, and it happened right around the time that something, I don't even know what was going on. I think my dad was getting really sick. My dad got a rare blood disease. And so I was dealing with a lot of family issues at the time. And I didn't like how the poster, I didn't like it. So I didn't send it to him.
Yeah.
And messaged him and I said, hey, although I sent it to him, but I guess how to word it is I didn't send it to him in like a final form, like, here, use this for production, put this on the movie posters, do that, because that was the original plan. And I didn't like my work. I was too harsh of a critic on myself. He ended up telling me that he liked the drawing, but it was too late. They went with like a photographer and used, some the movie studios gets to pick. Even though he's the producer, the studio still gets the say of who they're going with for design. So they went with someone else. However, when I met him, he told me he wants to work with me someday on an upcoming project where I will do character design for his film. I'm not going to say what type of film because top secret thing, but a project that sounds like super exciting, and I'm hopefully will be doing the character design for him someday. If you get a chance, definitely look up Malik Bader. Definitely look up Nikolai Shrelly. They're both two of the most amazing actor directors out there today. And this poster, by the way, even though it's not finished, I had fun drawing it, so I felt like showing it to you, and it was a fun one to draw.
Yeah. So Ron Y asks, is your dog in the cartoon you drew of the Fool?
Say that again?
The Fool that you did, the card, is that it looks like your dog in there?
I've had other people ask me that, and it was not based on my dog, although it came out to look just like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I drew that drawing before I had found the dog.
Oh right, okay. Oh, that's funny. It's funny how things like that work out.
Yeah. So random. It's life has life has so many serendipitous moments, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
No, for that. Is there any other questions before we kind of wrap it up in the chat? Just put them in. Ron says amazing. But yeah,
No,
while we kind of wait for anyone to put any questions in, is there anything that you kind of want to finish on? Is there any advice that you have for young people who want to become artists?
definitely don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Don't waste your money on art school. Draw every single day. And that's all advice I got to take myself as well. So it's, to me, I think if you want to be successful in anything, you need to be fully devoted to it. I mean, cartooning and illustration is what I do. I carry sketchbooks with me, or I'm using my, you know, Apple Pencil on Procreate and just drawing nonstop. You'll see me if I'm walking around, I always have a pencil or a pen in my hat because I'm drawing something. If I'm not wasting all my time looking and trading bitcoins
Yeah.
and other cryptocurrency, but would be my advice. Oh no, it froze up on your end again.
Yeah, you froze up a bit, but I can still hear you. It seems all right. Are you there? Oh, may have lost him again. Well, I think that's a relatively good place to leave it. I'm going to reconnect with if Aaron's listening. I'm going to reconnect with you, and we'll have a little chat after. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening and watching. And yeah, we'll see you next time for the next one. All right, thank you so much, guys. See.